Welcome to the Grandpa Channel, where stories don't fade, they get recorded. I'm Steve Harris. My grandkids call me Rivers. This podcast is where grandpas and grandchildren pull up a chair, turn on a mic, and let her rip. Grandpa stories are chock full of wisdom, life lessons, and frankly, funny as hell. Your stories are the magic elixir to help your grandkids navigate Mr. Toad's wild ride, aka life. Let's Grandpa. Listen up, grandpas. Have you actually pulled the trigger on recording your life story? I'm talking video, baby. They want to remember your corny jokes, your crooked smile, your rugged good looks, and the jaunty bounce of your voice. What if I told you there was a really easy way to do this? Recently, I sat down and I told my life story on video. Not the whole thing, but the good stuff, the messy stuff, the funny stuff. The parts I didn't want to forget and the parts that I did not want my kids and my grandkids to forget. Planted Media made it so easy. They came to me, set up everything, and then they did some editing voodoo magic that made me look like $1 million. Go to plantedmediaco.com and tell them Rivers sent you, and you'll get a nice little Grandpa Channel discount. All right, back to the show. Welcome to the Grandpa Channel. I'm Rivers, also known as Steve. And we have a very, very special guest. I have friends in high places. We broke the budget to bring in Santa. I mean, can you imagine? There was a gap and we flew him in, and I've been looking forward to this all week. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on too, Santa, is that I got a beef with you. It goes back about 60 years. I was 9 years old, and I wanted a train set. And you know what I got for Christmas?
Socks.
Almost as bad, a chemistry set, which I didn't want. And I want you to know that you're not always hitting home runs, okay?
There's an old rule that says you can't always, in fact, there's a song in there somewhere. You can't always get what you want. But if you try real hard, you get what you need. Maybe you needed some chemistry.
I'm not trying to diminish your role, but sometimes things don't always work out the way you want.
The problem is sometimes as a child, you have preconceived notions that are not going to align, be coincident with what happens.
I still bring that up with my mom and dad when they were alive, and their eyes glaze over and they sort of dismiss me a little bit.
Well, they're just happy you didn't blow the house up.
I think so. So you must have had some amazing experiences.
I have.
And I'd like you to share some of the experiences.
I've had some just incredible, wonderful spiritual experiences, some incredibly funny ones.
Yeah.
I even today, an hour ago, I was at an event, two little brothers, a 6 and a 7-year-old. And I asked the 7-year-old, what would you like for Christmas? And he said, presents. He couldn't think of anything, so he said presents. And so I turned to his brother and I said, what would you like for Christmas? He just looked at his brother and he says, more presents than him.
So you get to run the gamut of these family dynamics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I also have children, and this is the purpose behind the suit to me. I have kids who are, for whatever reason, they're in a situation where Santa is their only hope of some sort of normalcy, some sort of peace on earth. Mm. And those are the most difficult and yet the most touching encounters.
Yeah.
I have one, I was at an event in northern Utah, lots and lots of people. Big event. The city was hosting it. They had chocolate and cookies for everybody. Line out the door of this big pavilion, and families are coming in. So I'm kind of watching the line and come up, and I like to spend time. So every kid has their moment with Santa. And I also try and get every family to take a picture, not just individuals. It's important to me that families take pictures. And so the line's moving along, and there was a little girl. So I'm sitting here like in this chair, the line's here, and she's kind of orbiting over here in this empty space. She already come through with her family, and she's just orbiting there watching. And she would, as I was talking to kids and things, I'm kind of seeing her out of the corner of my eye, and she would come in close, and then she'd back away. She'd come in close, she'd back away. And finally, at just a point where I was waiting for a family to come up. She ran in and she handed me a piece of paper that was folded up to about the size of a quarter, maybe a little bit bigger. She said, "This is for you." And she disappeared. And I took it. And when I get a letter or something, I take it and I push it up into my sleeve here. So it sits in there. I didn't think another word about it. Went home, peeled off my coat. That letter fell out. Oh, yeah. So I picked it up and unfolded it. And it said something. I've got it on my phone. I keep a picture of it with me all the time now. Mm-hmm. But it said, "Dear Sam, most kids would probably ask for dollies or some toys. But this year for Christmas, all I want is for Mom and Dad not to yell at each other, to say mean things either, for just 1 week. If you can't do that, it's okay. I will still believe, but I really don't want anything else." She said, "I love you. Fly safe."
Fly safe.
Fly safe.
How old would you think she is?
I know exactly how old she was at the time, and this is the most remarkable thing. She said, "Love," her name, Abby, age 11.
Really?
Yes. An 11-year-old girl desperately wanted peace. All she wanted was peace.
Yeah.
And she said a prayer to the only person she could think of. So when I put on this suit, I mean, yeah, Christmas, people think Christmas is all about getting gifts. And we do get a lot of gifts. And the kids focus on that. But the real meaning of Christmas is about giving, because we've all been given a spectacular gift from our Savior. And when I put on this suit, it's my job to represent him. And oddly enough, another part of this, not quite as serious, but the number one request I get from children, the number one, I mean, yes, they all want toys. Everybody wants a present. But before the present, they want their family to be happy. That's what I get asked for more than anything.
Really?
Yeah. I just want my family to be happy and together.
Fine. And your imagination can't help but kind of rumble what's going on to get them to a point where they don't just want kids.
Well, and it's kids are smarter and more sensitive than we as adults think they are. And they can pick up on the friction and the tension, and they can pick up on things. And they want everybody around them to be happy. I mean, that's really when it boils down to it. They want a present, but they want the present because it's fun. And they want everyone else to have fun. That's, to me, that's the mission of Santa Claus, is to bring that spirit.
Did that mission dawn on you sooner or later? Just right off the bat, or has it kind of evolved over time?
I'll be honest, it was kind of right off the bat. I was hesitant to assume the role. Let's face it. You want to know a secret?
Yeah.
I'm not a nice person.
Cut.
No. I'm like everyone else. I try and do the right things. I do. And that's what I tell kids. They're always worried. Am I on the naughty list? My mom said, my dad said, my uncle said, Cameron, look at parents. Do not ever tell your kids they're going to be on the naughty list. Because what I tell them is, look, you're on the nice list. No one can do the right thing all the time. Everybody messes up.
Yeah.
The key is you fix whatever you messed up and you move on and you try and do the right things.
Yeah.
So I try to do the right things, but I take this being Santa really serious. Like when I first thought about doing it, I thought, are you really good enough of a person to do that? And then I thought, you know what? Maybe this is a good excuse for you to start being better.
Yeah.
And start being a better person. So now, I mean, I figure my very last thing I'm ever going to repent of is cussing out people on I-15. But now, for the last 20-something years, I've had a license plate that says Fly 1224.
Yeah.
And they figure out who it is. So I better stop cussing out people on I-15.
What's been the reaction on people when they see you, driving around? Has there been some jaws wide open?
Because I've been doing this long enough that obviously I was doing it before smartphones existed.
Yeah.
And back then, people, I'd be driving along the freeway. Back then, originally I had a little yellow Mazda car. And I'd be cruising along in my little yellow Mazda in my red suit. And people were just like, yeah. I'll never forget, I was on I-15, headed northbound one day in the car in front of me. And I didn't see anybody in the back seat, and all of a sudden these two little blonde heads pop up over the back seat looking at, get it up.
great.
But since the advent of smartphones, that's
Yeah.
diminished by quite a bit.
Has it? Yeah.
Although not entirely. And even this morning, I was driving along again, I-15,
Yeah.
and I was in my own little world. I had Christmas music playing. And finally, out of the corner of my eye, I caught something, and I look over, and it was two older ladies in the car next to me. One of them had the horn up, and the lady driving's like,
They didn't get in an accident.
oh.
So, when you get into this seasonal sort of mode, do you look forward to it, or
Yes.
crap?
No, I don't even know what to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing in my life that compares to the way you feel when the season starts.
Really?
Yeah, and when I pull out these, sorry, I hope I'm not everybody's sharing. When I pull these out and I hear these again at the start of the season, it just is like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, but the scopes on it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So what? What are some other stories about some of the kids? You told me a couple of them. The younger brother and the older brother.
That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
So again, it's at this event where this big long line is, and you got to kind of watch the line. You want to make sure everybody has their time, but you don't want to take too long. You want to keep the line moving. So I'm watching the line, and I could see these two kids, these two boys, and the older one, because I had two older brothers, so I understand this perfectly, and I have two younger brothers.
Yeah.
But the older one is just dinging on the younger one, non-stop. He's all over this fork tail, and just dinging on him. So they finally come up. The older one muscles his way up. We take a picture. We chat. We get to the question. I asked him, "What would you like for Christmas?" "I want a Nerf gun." I'm like, "I'm down with that. I love Nerf guns." In fact, just a side note, we have a lot of Nerf guns at our house. And I had one son, three daughters in that order. They all had Nerf guns, and we would have these massive Nerf wars at our house. People were getting called social services on us. So I tell them, "Man, I'm down with Nerf guns. I love Nerf guns." So I give his parents, and I say it loudly so they can hear it. And go, okay. So the younger one comes up, a little more subdued. We chat, get to the question, "What would you like?" And he pauses and he thinks. He finally looks at his brother and goes, "What did he ask for?" I said, "Well, he asked for a Nerf gun." And he looks me right in the eye and he says, "Can I have a bigger one?"
That sounds like an agree.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, "Dude, I've been watching. You deserve it."
Have there been kids that have been mean with you or kind of disrespectful or impolite?
Let's just say that becoming a teenager, it no longer starts at age 13.
Really?
Yeah, the age is lowered.
How do you think that's true?
I think it's social media.
Yeah.
And that's just, there's no evidence. I mean, that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's social media exposes children to harsher reality, or not reality, but a harsher world than they need to be exposed to. And they kind of lose that ability for magic, which is really unfortunate, because the magic never goes away. And I'm not talking about magic at Christmas. I'm just talking about the magic of life. There's so much in this world that is so cool. And they kind of lose that, and we always joke about teenagers knowing everything. I mean, I knew everything when I was a teenager. Now I don't know anything. I wouldn't say mean or disrespectful. They just lose the ability to be caught up in wonder. Which
I think that's no pun intended, that's a wonderful thing.
Let's just say when I was a kid, I grew up as a cowboy. My dad farmed me out to several different ranches. One of the ranches I lived on was up in Wyoming, in a place called Cora. And it's far enough away from everything. When you go outside, you can't hear a single man-made noise. There's no freeway. There's no train. There's nothing. And there's no lights. And the stars go all the way down. And you can literally see the Wind River Mountains outlined with stars. And when I go up and visit there, we still go back there. When I go up and visit, I'll walk out there's several wagons, call them hay racks. I'll walk out on and sit on one of the hay racks and lay down and just stare up at the stars and get lost in the wonder of everything. I don't think we spend enough time doing that. Kids can do it without even having to lay and look at the stars. They can just get lost in wonder. I don't think adults, I think we've lost some of that in our society.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you got a really valid point. What's the funniest thing that's happened to you, or a couple of funny stories? GUSD.
Oh my, let's see. I knew you were going to ask that. And this is what happens when you get old. Let me circle back to that because I got to.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I literally, did you see my head hinge open and my brain leap out and scurry across the floor?
The mind's eye image of that is quite disconcerting.
I spent 31 years as an air traffic controller. Most of those 31 years I spent also in a dual role as a trainer. And then the last 6 years of my career, I controlled traffic, but I also spent a lot of time in what we called the DISIM, Dynamic Simulator, where we would train new controllers before they're allowed to go out and train on real traffic. And the DISIM is an exact replica of what it's like out on the floor. You'd sit the student down, talk about, things that they get a pre-briefing on what their weather's like, everything. They've got a scope, and then we would say clock on, and the clock would start. The scope would populate with targets. The scenario would run. And it was our standing joke. In fact, we had a poster there where it said clock on. Then you see that there was a student sitting in the scope, and you could see his brain running across the floor. Because you can always tell on the training controller, because they would key the mic and all you hear is. They'll key up to tell you ready to say something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's not exactly a low risk occupation.
No, it's
or low stress.
One of the guys I worked with said it best. He says, "I think this is the only job in the world where perfection is considered average." That's true, and that's what we would strive for. Mm-hmm. Not that we would always achieve it, but but yeah, it's kind of the old rule that individually you can't achieve perfection, but together as a group, as a team, you certainly can.
I've got kind of a screwy question for you. As you have this line of kids, almost all of them wonderful, nice, they have the potential to be wonderful. When you talk to them, do they I know that they do, but what do they reveal about modern family life? What are some takeaways? I know it's a broad sort of a question. Are you more concerned or less concerned about American families now than, say, you were 20 years ago?
Here's the deal. You would think, based on some of the stuff I've said already, that I would be more concerned. The fact is, simply because the quality of kids, the intelligence level, their awareness is off the charts greater.
Really?
Than I know I was, and most people that I know. And it simply is a matter of them learning to apply those gifts they have. The future, honestly, the future is bright. And if you think the future is not, here's what you can do. Go to Brighton High School Seminary on Wednesday night at 7:00 and attend the Institute class over there. This taught, I'm biased, it's taught by my son. But until I started going there, and I would just sit in the back and listen to the discussion that the kids would have and their questions and their comments, I was like, dang, these kids are sharp and they're good. I really do.
So, I like the idea of an optimistic Santa rather than a pessimistic Santa.
No,
instead of if you say, well, I want a bigger Nerf gun. Well, frankly, I'm not sure you're going to make it. We're not going to make it until Christmas, but.
No, I think, the fact that he wants a bigger Nerf gun to take down a cock. I think the fact that the little boy that was so excited to see me, I don't remember how old he was about that tall. Honestly, don't know how old he was because he never made it to my lap because he came up, he stood in front of me, he was so excited as he stood there, started leaking.
Better in that position now in your lap.
Well, I've had kids on my lap, but I've gone, oh, hey. I done more than one baby. Wow. Sit on my lap and I hear, there you go, Mom.
That's a sound that no parent wants to do.
No.
And especially no Santa wants to.
No. Yeah. One of the fun things that I've had, really nice young couple came in, and he has her sit down on my knee, and then she's like, "Oh, this is someone from Radio. I think it was Sam." He gets on his knee in front, opens the box, and pops the question right there in front.
Really?
That was really cool. And we were outdoors. The snow was falling. It was perfect. It was perfect. It was so cool.
Oh, wow.
So I've had a few proposals. I was Santa Ozu, and I had the University of Utah women's volleyball team came through one night. Okay, I have watched volleyball on TV. I never realized I was like in the land of giants.
Really?
They were so tall.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
And then I had a couple of UU football players come as Sunday linemen. I had two of them had one sit on each knee. I'm still recovering. I'll be better soon.
My gosh.
But
How long do you think you'll keep doing this?
as long as I can.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, have you expand on this? Santa is a spiritual calling. I wonder if there's virtually everything that we do could potentially have a spiritual aspect to it. And if we focused on that, I think that we probably do some pretty amazing things. But I'm really curious what your take on that is.
Let me propose something to you, okay?
Okay.
And this is that when I'm in church and I come up with stuff like this, I throw my tie over the shoulder to emphasize the fact that this is me speaking. This is not doctrine.
Yeah.
But I hear people all the time say, "Oh, the world's so horrible." It's like, I can't wait for the Savior to come again. And I think, why? His job is not to come and fix it. That's our job. What if we all behaved as if he were here? What if we treated each other as if he were here? What if we actually did the things that we say we're going to do and minister to each other? What if I, as Santa, conducted myself the same way all year long? What if we created a world that was ready for him to come, rather than thinking he's going to come and fix everything? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't we all be happier and better?
And not to mention how we would feel.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't do it just so that we feel better, but
No, but think how much better you feel when you just help people, when you share a little happiness and a little joy. And that's what I get to feel every day. When you watch kids walk up to you with hope and light in their eyes because they believe that there is good. What if we could do that with everyone?
But I think what it talks about too is, everything we do should have a spiritual component.
Absolutely. I have a very dear friend who once said to me, and he was, I don't know what his ranking was, but he was in the Lutheran church. He's always trying to get me to come to his church because he knows my fondness for donuts. He said, "Look, man, for Sunday school, we have coffee and donuts. What do you guys got?" But he once said to me, no, that's Sunday stuff. Sunday stuff stays on Sunday. And then work stuff is during the week. And I looked at him and I said, "Dude, you got it all wrong. It's all Sunday stuff all of the time. That's the trick, is how do we do that?"
You just can't say, well, that's business.
That's business. Oh yeah, it's just business. No.
Yeah.
No, there's no such thing.
So here's a kind of a softball question for you too.
You realize I'm the only guy in the world that ever struck out.
Wow.
Yeah, but go ahead. Fire away.
I'll speak really slowly. So, what advice would you have as Santa for? There's got to be a grandpa connection here too. Tell me what kind of pops into your mind.
Go easy. As fathers, you get, oh man, we got our. That's the other thing, is I have to tone down my cowboy words. As fathers, you tend to get our panties all wound up around the axle about things. Oh my gosh, oh, this hard. And then we, bam, come down like a sack of hammers on somebody. And I think it's odd, but most every grandpa I know knows this instinctively. Because almost every grandpa I know, once you have a 2-year-old come up and wrap their hand around your finger and say, "Come on, Papa."
Yeah.
You're going wherever they want to go.
Yeah.
And you're not, if I get to give any advice to grandpas, is to just share, let the grandkids in and share who you really are. You know that I have a workshop in my garage, and I've had my grandkids out there helping me occasionally when they want to, when we have something really cool to build, I used to think sheer terror was teaching kids to drive a clutch. No, sheer terror is watching your grandkids sand a nice piece of wood with a and a more of a sander, trying to teach them how to not fling the wood across the shop. But no, as a grandpa, just go easy, and just let it flow. Just let things flow. Let it happen. Don't make a plan. Don't make a plan. I think we schedule our kids' times way too much. Just let kids have an adventure. And as a grandpa, you're in charge of creating the adventure, and then let them run.
I guess you're creating adventures as I see it. When you pull up or fly into these various things, but you're creating an adventure.
Yeah.
Especially for the smaller children.
I mean, we're wrapping right back around to wonder, but that's one thing I was super thankful for in my house growing up. But we also we lived actually in Bountiful, but we lived on 3 acres, and it went down a hill, and there was a creek at the bottom, and there's oak brush all around. And when I didn't have work to do, I was just turned loose to go have an adventure. Now, I'm not sure that right now in today's world my mom, I was 5 years old. She would pack me a sap lunch, peanut butter and honey sandwich and potato chips. And I would take off and go. We lived right up by the foothills. I'd head up into the mountains. And I'm not sure that's a smart thing to do nowadays. Turn your 5-year-old loose and just be back for dinner.
Different times.
Yeah. But it also gave me a chance. You should have adventures. And I found some really good friends, and we had adventures. We would hike and discover things and, just have fun. It wasn't scheduled. It wasn't anything. It was just fun. And I think that's our role as grandparents, is to create that fun. Doesn't have to be scheduled. Doesn't have to be go to some place. Just have some fun.
Great advice.
I can tell you this, there's not a single event I go to and chatting with kids that I don't just bust up laughing at one thing or another, because it's the stuff that comes out of their mouth.
Yeah.
This morning I was at an event, so serious, and the parents had dressed them up. I mean, they looked sharp, and this little 5-year-old boy, man, he looked sharp. And so the little girl's there having a very serious discussion with him. Her brother, on the other hand, is over, and this kid can dance. He's over there just, yes. I look at her and go, "What do you do?" He goes, "I got moves." That's the beauty of being Santa's kids feel like they could just be themselves. And so,
isn't that maybe what a grandpa should be partly?
Absolutely.
Grandpa should be, grandchild should be able to just feel like this is not what just grandpa wants me to be.
And this is not what mom and dad expect me to be.
Right.
Grandpa should have everything lowered down to the point where the kid can just be who they are.
Test out his moves. Yeah.
I mean, I have a grandson, he loves Jurassic Park. And he watched me one day. We were out doing something, and I always carry a bandana in my pocket. I have my whole life. And I pull it out because I was sweating and I was wiping my bald head that you saw. And he goes, "What, Grandpa, what is that?" I said, "Well, it's a bandana." And I unrolled it. He goes, "Can I have it?" I said, "Why you want it?" "That's just like what Dr. Grant wears." Or the Dr. Grant.
Jurassic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, "Sure." So he took it, he put it around his neck, and he tied it just like Dr. Grant. Well, ever since then, we'll only wear, when it's school picture day, he wears a blue denim shirt and his bandana.
No way.
And he wears that bandana every single day. And I know kids are like, "What are you doing?" And he's just like, "Well, he was." Yeah. And he found one of my old fedora hats like Dr. Grant had. So now he wears that and he walks around. But to be given the ability to be who you want to be, he's got a lot of guts to pull that off. If I would have said, "What are you doing?" If I would have chastised him for it, but as soon as he put it on, I go, "Oh, you're Dr. Grant. This hat."
Yeah. That's really fun. So, do you enjoy being a grandpa?
I love being a grandpa. Grandkids are the best. One of the things I love most about it is the fact that I can hold a baby when they fall asleep, and that gives me an excuse to fall asleep with them. Now, in all seriousness, I love being a grandpa. Like I said, when a 2-year-old takes you by the finger, you're going wherever they want to go. No questions asked.
In some ways, though, what you're doing, you could say Santa / grandpa, magical, or, wonder. One of the things that we've talked about with people is the idea of grandpaing where you're planted. You know, some of us don't have kids that are within 20 minutes. They might be, you know, on the East Coast or the West Coast. And then I think that it behooves us as grandpas to kind of extend.
Just because your carrying kids aren't nearby.
Right.
And I can testify to that personally.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of my grandparents had passed away by the time I came around. I'm the sixth of eight, and both of my parents are in the bottom. So I didn't have any grandparents. Mm-hmm. Never got to go to Grandpa's house. Mm-hmm. But I had Grandpa and Grandma Barnett, the grandparents of my best friend, who he would let me come over and help. Never did much good. He would always, when I would show up, he'd go, well, one boy is one day's work, two boys is a half a day's work, and the three of us show up, ain't nothing getting done. But I had living next door, was Heber Cap and our Green.
That's her husband.
Yes, and her dad lived in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Green. And I remember once as an early, very young teenager, my dad and I would, there's a Spanish word for it, chocar. Clash.
Yeah.
I was angry, and I stormed out of the house, and I stomped into the oak brush in the backyard, not really knowing where I was going, just knowing that I was angry and I was upset, and how dare my dad, whatever it was. I stomped through the oak brush, and I came out of the oak brush, and lo and behold, I came out of the oak brush in Cap's backyard, and they had a big sliding glass door, and on the other side of that glass door was Grandpa Green sitting there on the couch, and he sees me come out of there. He goes, so I walk over and I open the door, and he grabs a can of cashews off the coffee table and opens it. And to this day, I love cashews. I never had one before. He says, here, sit down. I can't tell you a single thing he ever said to me. I don't know. But what I can tell you is the feeling I got. Mm-hmm. And he, at that moment, became the grandpa that I never had. Mm-hmm. And I would go over whenever life was just crazy enough. As a teenager, it gets crazy. Whenever it was crazy, I would walk over and just tap on the glass. Come on here.
Mm-hmm. And he was a good listener?
He must have, because I don't remember him ever saying I know he talked to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know what he said. I just know that when I came out, I was better than when I went in. And that's, to me, that is what a grandpa is.
Isn't that what you're trying to accomplish, too, with all of the kids that, you know, that they're, whatever place they're in, that you're helping them get to, at least temporarily, a better place?
I realized that I was really naive as a kid growing up. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was heavily involved in Boy Scouts. One of the creeds of Boy Scouts is you leave a place better than when you found it. I was one of those guys that actually believed that. And I would try and pick everything up and make everything better than what Grandpa Green did for me. And that's what Santa should do for kids. Mm-hmm. And that's what we should all do. People should depart from our company better than they arrived.
That's a challenge, but what a one.
But that's the beauty of it, is it never ends.
No, that's right. And I think all of us as grandpas, we have defaults. Like one of my defaults, unfortunately, is grumpy grandpa. I'm not like yelling at grandkids or anything. I'm thinking some things that I shouldn't be, you know, and they're snotty and they're kind of snitty, and well, I don't want to have that be my default.
And we all have that. And honestly, right now, if my son were listening to this right now, he'd be shaking his head, because here's the problem. It was worse for me because of my job. As an air traffic controller, you become accustomed to people, whatever you say, they do, and they do it right now. Jolene says she will tell you that I went through a complete personality change as I went through and became more and deeper involved in air traffic. And you do, and you become incredibly impatient, and you develop, honestly, a God complex where you think you know best for everyone. And if they don't do what you say right away, and it even translate over to your grandkids if you're not careful. And so it has taken a very conscious, difficult effort on my part to say, you know what? That's not right. It may work in air traffic, and it may be right for that, but it's not right for life.
Mm-hmm. And not right for your grandkids.
No, absolutely not. And there's no quicker way to destroy a kid's self-esteem than for a grandparent to come down on. Because, you know, they know mom and dad. It's gonna happen. But when Grandpa and Grandma
Yeah.
come down on them,
Yeah.
boy, that's tough.
That is tough. Well, Santa, this has been incredible. So glad that you came.
I'm glad to be here.
And this has been very instructive. And I mean, we really had to pull some loofahs to get you here. So thank you. And then we're having a little neighborhood kind of meet and greet with Santa right after this interview.
Yep.
So it's going to be fun.
Yep.
So thank you so much.
Thank
Any
you.
final words for us?
Merry Christmas. And not just Christmas. Make it a Merry Christmas all year long.
That's it for today's episode of the Grandpa Channel. Leave a review, share it with a friend, or better yet, tell your favorite grandpa. We're on a mission to gather 1 million grandpas, storytellers, wisdom keepers, and lovable wild cards. Until next time, keep the mic hot, the memories fresh, and the jokes just slightly inappropriate. I'm out of here.